I think it take not more than 5 or 6 minutes. The performance of introduction. So, in an introduction, should you ask me whence these stories, whence these legends and traditions, with the odors of the forest, with the dew and damp of meadows, with the curling smoke of wigwams, with the rushing of great rivers, with their frequent repetitions and their wild reverberations as a thunder in the mountains? I should tell you, I should answer, from the forests and the prairies, from the great lakes of the Northland, from the land of the Ojibways, from the land of the Dakotas, from the mountains, moors, and fenlands where the heron, the shushuga, feeds among the reeds and rushes. I repeat them as I hear them from the lips of Hiawatha, the musician, the sweet singer. Should you ask where Hiawatha found these songs so wild and wayward, found these legends and traditions, I should tell you, I should answer. From the bird's nests of the forest, from the lodges of the beaver, from the footprints of the bison, from the eyrie of the eagle. All the wild fowl sang them to him in the moorlands and the fenlands, in the melancholy marshes. Chetawake, the plover, sang them. Mang, the loon, the wild goose guava, the blue heron, tzapla, the shushuga, and the grouse, the mushkodaza, glucharka. If still further you should ask me, saying, who were Hiawatha? Tell us of this Hiawatha. I should answer your inquiries straightway in such words as follow. In the vale of Tawazentha, in the green and silent valley, by the pleasant water courses, dwelt the singer Hiawatha. Round about the Indian village spread the meadows and the cornfields, and beyond them stood the forest, stood the groves, roshi, of thinking pine trees, green in summer, white in winter, ever singing, ever sighing. And the pleasant water courses, you could tread them through the valley by the rushing in the springtime, by the alders in the summer, by the white fog in the autumn, by the black line in the winter. And beside them dwelt the singer in the green and silent valley in the vale of Tawazentha. There he sang of Hiawatha, sang the Song of Hiawatha, sang his wondrous birth and being, how he prayed, how he fasted, how he lived and toiled and suffered, that the tribes of men might prosper, that he might advance his people. Ye who love the haunts of nature, love the sunshine of the meadow, love the shadow of the forest, love the wind among the branches, and the rain shower, and the snowstorm, and the rushing of great rivers through their palisades of pine trees, and the thunder in the mountains, whose innumerable echoes flap like eagles in their ears. Listen to these wild traditions, to this song of Hiawatha. Ye who love the nation's legends, love the ballads of a people, love the ballads of a people that, like voices from afar off, call to us to pause and listen, and speak in tones so plain and childlike, scarcely can the ear distinguish whether they are sung or spoken. Listen to this Indian legend, to this song of Hiawatha. Ye whose hearts are fresh and simple, who have faith in God and nature, who believe that in all ages every human heart is human, and that in even savage bosoms there are longings, yearnings, strivings for the good they comprehend not, and that the feeble hands and helpless, groping blindly in the darkness, touch God's right hand in the darkness and are lifted up and strengthened. Listen to this simple story, to this song of Hiawatha. Ye who sometimes in your rambles through the green lanes of the country, where the tangled barberry bushes hang their tufts of crimson berries over stone walls grey with mosses, pause by some neglected graveyard, Kladbische, for a while to muse and ponder on a half-effaced inscription written with little skill of songcraft, homely phrases, but each letter full of hope and yet of heartbreak, full of all the tender pathos of the here and the hereafter. Stay and read this rude inscription, read the Song of Hiawatha. Yeah, okay. This is an introduction. And now, dear friends, please listen to the first part, to the first part of this poem, which is named, which it calls the peace pipe. The peace pipe. Please take these pictures.
Yes, it has here some drawings.
The pictures that
with words
see here and
phrases.
And see there is with these pictures there is some root, some simple kind of vocabulary, and you can trace all the words you could hear during this performance of it. And this, I think, it will help you to recognize better the sense of this poem. So I'd like to now see this picture, see this vocabulary. This is for you, dear lady.
And the one for
please
me.
pay your attention for some words I'd like to represent you firstly. There are some old forms of words and expressions. Or the same as over. Spake, the same of spoke. Wise way, spake in this wise, spoke in this way. So please attract attention the specific such specific words as calumet, Indian and American words. Calumet, Pukwan, not Pakwa, but Pukwana, they said. Ishkuda. So the names of the Indian tribes, Delawares, Mohawks, and other. And the words of here you can see will be quarry. Quarry. Mainly, seeing in dictionaries you can find this word and to define that it means mainly in Russian we name it karrier. The place where the sands or some minerals or some metals is dragged out from the ground. Okay. But now here this is in the sense of place with broken stones, каменный разлом, quarry. This is one of the main words of this story. No, so please now trace these words and here and try to be fed, to be heartfelt with this poem, with this music, and with this beauty of these lines. So
and what about this text of this?
Would you like to have it before you write that?
Yes, I'd like to.
Please, does it suit if it will be not in English but in Ukrainian? So please, one moment, please.
What about German? Or French?
Next time maybe.
Okay, no problem, yes.
For me, so in Ukrainian.
Ukrainian,
For you in German.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I think it will be fun to hear it in origin in English, and then to compare it how it is might be perceived. How it will be perceived in Ukrainian. Ukrainian performance.
Great fun, yes.
Yes, Lena. The first page. Okay, please take it.
Thank you.
Ukrainian?
Not in English.
English, okay.
It's for me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Particularly. So please listen to the first part. As I already said, is named the peace pipe, trubka mira. So please, here on this picture, you can see there the pipe head, pipe stem, leaves, the smoke from this curling from this peace pipe.
Could you show it, Vasilij, here?
Yeah, please do it.
The special drawing.
What the substance? This pipe is filled with the bark, the willow, the Eva, bark and the kara, соответственно. Его bark of willow.
Thank you.
Bark of willow, да.
Willow.
So please listen to
Willow.
this, да.
Bark of willow.
To this, please listen to this first part of the Hiawatha, the peace pipe. On the mountains of the. So please, wait 1 minute, Lena, please put on your headdress and me as me.
Now it's the full
Am I resemble
So
to the Indian leader?
You should move it a bit here, a bit forward, a bit forward,
Like this?
a bit more forward.
That's not
More
Yeah.
forward.
Yes, like that. Okay.
Is it enough?
Ah, yes, excellent.
Am I resemble to
Yes, you do.
a real Indian leader?
You do really. Oh yes.
So, okay.
Lena, and you look really special. You look really special.
So please listen to the peace pipe.
Okay.
On the mountains of the prairie, on the great red pipestone quarry, Gitchi Manitou, the mighty, he the master of life, descending on the red crags of the quarry, stood erect and called the nations, called the tribes of men together. From his footprints flowed the river, leaped into the light of morning, where the precipice plunging downward gleamed like Ishkuda, the comet. And the spirit, stooping earthward with his finger on the meadow, traced a winding pathway for it, saying to it, "Run in this way." From the red stone of the quarry, with his hand he broke a fragment, molded it into a pipe head, shaped and fashioned it with figures. From the margin of the river took a long reed for a pipe stem with its dark green leaves upon it, filled the pipe with bark of willow, with the bark of the red willow, breathed upon the neighboring forest, made its great boughs chafe together till in flame they burst and kindled, and erect upon the mountains Gitchi Manitou, the mighty, smoked the calumet, the peace pipe, as a signal to the nations. And the smoke rose slowly through the tranquil air of morning, first a single line of darkness, then a denser, bluer vapor, then a snow-white cloud unfolding like the treetops of the forest, ever rising till it touched the top of heaven, till it broke against the heaven and rolled outward all around. From the vale of Tawazentha, from the valley of Wyoming, from the groves of Tuscaloosa, from the far-off Rocky Mountains, from the northern lakes and rivers, all the tribes beheld the signal, saw the distant smoke ascending, the Pukwana of the peace pipe. And the prophets of the nations said, "Behold it, the Pukwana, by this signal from afar off, bending like a wand of willow, waving like a hand that beckons. Gitchi Manitou, the mighty, calls the tribes of men together, calls the warriors to his council." Down the rivers, o'er the prairies, came the warriors of the nations, came the Delawares and Mohawks, came the Choctaws and Comanches, came the Shoshones and Blackfeet, came the Pawnees and Amahas, came the Mandans and Dakotas, came the Hurons and Ojibways. All the warriors drawn together by the signal of the peace pipe to the mountains of the prairie, to the great red pipestone quarry. And they stood there on the meadow with their weapons and their war gear, painted like the leaves of autumn, painted like the sky of morning, wildly glaring at each other. In their faces, stern defiance, in their hearts the feuds of ages, the hereditary hatred, the ancestral thirst жажда of vengeance. Gitchi Manitou, the mighty, the creator of the nations, looked upon them with compassion, with paternal love and pity, looked upon their wrath and wrangling, but as quarrels among children, but as feuds and fights of children. Over them he stretched his right hand to subdue their stubborn natures, to allay their thirst and fever by the shadow of his right hand, spake to them with voice majestic as the sounds of far-off waters falling into deep abysses, warning, chiding, spake in this wise. O my children, my poor children, listen now to the words of wisdom, listen to the words of warning from the lips of the Great Spirit, from the Master of Life who made you. I have given you lands to hunt in, I have given you streams to fish in, I have given you bear and bison, I have given you roe and reindeer, I have given you brant and beaver, filled the marshes full of wildfowl, filled the rivers full of fishes. Why then are you not contented? Why then will you hunt each other? I am weary of your quarrels, weary of your wars and bloodshed, weary of your prayers for vengeance, of your wranglings and dissensions. All your strength is in your union, all your danger is in discord. Therefore be at peace henceforward, and as brothers live together. I will send a prophet to you, a deliverer of the nations, who shall guide you and shall teach you, who shall toil and suffer with you. If you listen to his counsels, you will multiply and prosper. If his warnings pass unheeded, you will fade away and perish. Bathe now in the stream before you. Wash the war paint from your faces. Wash the bloodstains from your fingers. Bury your war clubs and your weapons. Break the redstone from this quarry. Mold and make it into peace pipes. Take the reeds that grow beside you. Deck them with your brightest feathers. Smoke the calumet together, and as brothers live henceforward. Then, upon the ground, the warriors threw their weapons and their war gear, threw their cloaks and shirts of deerskin, leaped into the rushing river, washed the war paint from their faces. Clear above them flowed the water, clear and limpid from the footprints of the Master of Life descending. Dark below them flowed the water, soiled and stained with streaks of crimson, as if blood were mingled with it. From the river came the warriors, clean and washed from all their war paint. On the banks their clubs they buried all their warlike weapons. Gitchi Manitou, the mighty, the Great Spirit, the Creator, smiled upon his helpless children. And in silence all the warriors broke the redstone of the quarry, smoothed and formed it into peace pipes, broke the long reeds by the river, decked them with their brightest feathers, smoked the calumet together, and departed each one homeward, while the Master of Life, ascending through the opening of cloud curtains, through the doorways of the heaven, vanished from before their faces in the smoke that rolled around him, the pukuana of the peace pipe.
Обалдеть!
Please.